Well, happy Saturday, folks. The real Captain Kirk here. We're live from One Bethlehem Plaza here in downtown Pennsylvania here on the 16th of May. It started off nice, a little cloudy here this afternoon, but while it's 8.6 cooler than last year's pretty hot conditions. It was the hottest in 21 years last year, so still 80 today. So it's a nice spring day here and getting hotter here with the heat wave coming up. If I sound a little under the weather here today, I am. I'm going to blame it on the pollen here. It's pretty high and unfortunately going to stay pretty high here, so I'm not feeling that great here today, but thought we'd talk again. Why do you say the real Captain Kirk here? And again, we've got about 5,000 new folks on YouTube and I think 2,600 subscribers to our video blog here. So thought I'd explain that again. Dating myself here some 36 years ago, had a walk with this famous general for 10 minutes and forever changed how we think of we need long-range forecasting and don't change your mind. That was his quote some 36 years ago. So again, the day I helped the general save the queen here is actually almost on this date. I think it was around 20 May 1991. So 35 years ago. Again, some of the video here in the bottom right here. But I remember that day vividly. It was 3 in the morning, and general always walked in at 3 in the morning. I don't know. Every time I was on duty at 3 a.m., here comes the general and saying, hey, and I said, good morning, General Sir. Today's the big day. And he said, just thought I'd get an update from you. He always thought we were better than the CENTCOM meteorologist. So in any event, gave him the forecast basically that the sea fog would be lifting out early in the morning, right as the Queen was landing. It wouldn't be raining per se, but it missed. And if you knew the hangar that we were in at Hangar 3 at MacDill Air Force Base, it was extremely slippery. So I mentioned that to him in the forecast, that hangar would be super slippery because of the sea fog, no rain, but again, the mist would make it very slippery. Well, on that day, I could hear from my base operations area that millions of clicks of cameras and gaffs, the Queen slipped, and the general basically grabbed the Queen by the hip, pivoted her on the tarmac of the hangar, and the crowd goes wild. He saved the Queen from slipping. Now, he broke every single entourage rule that he was warned about. You cannot touch the Queen. You can't do this. You can't do that. I didn't know this story until about 16 years later when I met the general again. He was a civilian at that point, had a TV show, and I said, we're waiting in the green room. I said, hey, General Sir, I know you don't remember me. And he says, well, Captain, actually, I do. Now, let me tell you the rest of the story. I thought it was pretty funny that he immediately jumps into the Queen story because that was the last time we met. And he talked about the Queen. He was knighted again about a year later in England when she presented him a scrapbook. And so when she was making that scrapbook, after every memorable event on an airplane ride home, she would make a scrapbook. She asked her entourage, where are all the pictures of the general saving me? And they said, oh, Mom, we got rid of all the inappropriate photos because he was grabbing her, saving her, but grabbing her. She says, I want those photos. So she made a beautiful scrapbook, presented to the general about a year later after that. And so, he says to me, that's the day we saved the Queen. So again, a precise weather forecast, again, helped save the Queen here. We are launching something super cool here, so we'll get to the weather here story now. Something I think everyone's going to love here. It's top secret for now, but we've been joking a bit, talking about the robots here at 360. Again, we are launching something within a few weeks here, a global consumer talking app, weather app. Again, so we will have more details here as we get close here. So I thought we'd ask the robot here today about the rapidly developing El Nino here. Again, hype, and it's justified, but there's one missing thing that I think maybe some folks are over missing here is that the El Nino is typically very warm equatorial Pacific Oceans. You can see that here in the animation. But to the North Pacific is also pretty warm, right? So we don't have this major contrast. Normally you'd have El Nino warm and North Pacific cold, creating a contrast that allows weather patterns to get more typical El Nino. So that's the big unknown here. The North Pacific is actually warm as well. So a sea of warm, we'll see how that totally interacts. But net is we're still expecting a very wet late summer, fall, winter ahead. If we look back on early November here, this is subsurface looking again from Australia all the way to Ecuador, but below the surface, hundreds of feet. Very, very cold waters, -4°C. This was La Nina. And again, look today, just a 6+ C. Some of this is already making it to the surface. Much of the area is now +2°C, which makes it, in theory, a strong or super El Nino emerging. And again, the models do say that. Model left goes all the way through part of winter. Shows strong El Nino by fall, so getting to that +2, borderline 15, 16 strength El Nino. And the model right here only goes through summer here, but again, getting moderate by summer. So again, all eyes are on that 2015-16. That would be the modern era, past 76 years of the warmest El Nino. That year brought a very warm, wet winter. Now, again, we had one blizzard. Actually, with the year my daughter was born, we had one record historic blizzard in mid-January. It brought 34 inches here in the eastern PA 360's headquarters area. So again, it was a snowless winter, and it all came in one storm. So that's the kind of winter we think we're going to have ahead here, is that it's predominantly wet versus white, but not to say you can't get one big event. We had a great spring severe weather forecast here this year. Again, just added another event. We had all that snow forecast for, now this is spring, March, April, May, but just had another big snow event in the Rockies, Colorado area, even Denver. Actually, this week we're getting more snow in the northern Rockies. So we've added 10, saying we hit the Colorado snowstorm again. So did really well here on predicting a lot of the severe weather events this year. This past week took a little bit of a lull here. We only had about 17 tornadoes, 191 hail events, 493 wind events. So a little bit, everything's down versus last year and slightly above average, except wind, which is still quite above average. Ironically, our meteorologist here, Chrissy, some of the B2B clients know her. One of our very senior meteorologists here working with our big clients. She had accumulating hail here with this past few days ago. So again, we were one of those hail events. The severe weather is going to actually pick up here the next few days, actually this whole week here. So Saturday, Sunday, Monday, look at all the enhanced activity in the heartland. So it's coming back after the lull. Look at last week, World Summer here ending today. It's the fourth straight week here now of 3.5 colder year over year. So nationally, 4 straight weeks colder. It's not entirely what we want for strong spring seasonal sales. A little bit of a lull since the March, early April surge. Hot 90-degree days, they were down about 13%, and rainfall down about 57%, at least in 4 years. Fourth driest in 41 years. So that's good. Dry is good for store traffic. Again, tale of two halves, though. Colder east, hotter west. Canada, I forget the trend here. I think it's 12th straight week below last year levels, temperature-wise. So they have 12 straight weeks of cold, so delayed spring for sure in Canada. UK and Europe also got very cold, and Europe very wet. Number one wettest in 41 plus years. Big map here is trends versus last year. Maps inset left are trends versus average. All important week before Memorial Day here now. So again, it's a volatile pattern. It's a little misleading here. We're going to go from low 90s here. Actually, we're going to probably have our first heat wave, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of this week here in the east. And then the bottom falls out as we get toward the weekend and getting maybe even 60s by Friday. And unfortunately, maybe a big rainstorm here for the Memorial Day, Sunday, Monday timeframe weekend. So good news in the sense that it's 3.8 warmer than last year. That's good. 10th warmest. Hot days are still down 19% versus last year, least in 3 years. So things like air conditioners may get a little bounce here with the 2-3 day heat wave here in the east. But again, just from a year-over-year national perspective, down 19% versus a year ago. And rainfall actually up, what is in 6 years. Again, we don't like that. We do in the sense we're eliminating some drought here. We need that, but it does hurt store traffic in a critical holiday week here. Look at next week here, week of Memorial Day, which is Monday the 25th here. 3.6 warmer than last year, warmest in 6 years nationally. So again, that's a good trend. But again, a little misleading here because the East Coast is going to turn below normal here, map upper right there. And the West Coast, a little bit below normal. So where it's hot is actually up in the Rockies and the Plains. Doesn't entirely drive a lot of seasonal sales. Hot 90-degree days, again, down 45%. So least in 3 years. And rainfall almost off the scale here, plus 15% year over year, wettest in 11, third wettest in 41 plus years. So these 2 weeks here going into the latter half of May here, the wettest in I think 11 years for the U.S. One of the top 3 wettest in 41 years. So we don't like that for the holiday weeks. Big map is trend here versus average. Now we're averaging the hots, the colds, and the warms. So again, but the general theme is warm across the U.S. and Europe. And precip, again, stormy for both U.S. and snowy, and actually in the Rockies and the Plains. Northern Rockies. And Central Eastern Europe also very wet. And southern Brazil, actually pretty wet as well for their second season crops. So that, folks, again, have a great week ahead here. Don't forget you can get this blog video in your inbox every Saturday. So sorry it's a little late here today, again, under the weather here. But we've added about 2,600 subscribers here to the video blog email. So again, it's free. Link above here. Just sign up and you get it every day as we issue this blog video update. With that, folks, have a great week ahead, and we will talk to you again this time next week.